Tonight, the state's premier tours renewable energy sites in the Spencer Gulf. And a Broken Hill mental health service reminding the public there's nothing wrong with asking for help.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf studios, your nightly news with Ruby Kamain begins now.
Good evening. Hundreds of millions of dollars is being put into renewable energy projects around Port Augusta. South Australia's Premier visiting the city today, part of 2 groundbreaking ceremonies.
Breaking soil at 2 large-scale renewable energy projects either side of Port Augusta.
Port Augusta area is becoming a global renewable energy hub. Massive investment, in fact $670 million in the 2 projects that we're talking about today.
The state's leader visiting the city, with the mining minister praising the benefits of renewables.
We need the price of electricity to continue going down. We need emissions to continue going down, and we need reliability of supply of electricity to continue to improve.
Iberdrola's renewable energy park will see a combination of solar and wind, with an 18-month construction period starting today.
Which, when built, will be one of the largest hybrid power stations in the Southern Hemisphere.
A South Australian first to see wind turbines built on flat ground.
Normally you see it on the top of hills. The reason this project is attractive is that there is on average a daily wind that peaks around 6 to 7 p.m. at night, and that's when we want to use the power.
And on the other side of town, today marks the beginning of stage 2 of the Lincoln Gap wind farm. That will see 24 new turbines hit the ground and add 86 megawatts of generation capacity.
Enough energy to power around 50,000 households with clean renewable energy.
It's a big win on the job front, with over 300 jobs said to be created over the 2 projects. Mayor Brett Bembo hopes this is the start of a new generation of education for the city's young people.
In the old days we had the boilermaker, the fitter and turner and so forth. Now I'm hoping in the later years before they leave school there is an opportunity to learn the more technical side of renewable energy.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The electricity interconnector between South Australia and New South Wales is a step closer to reality, with a new application seeking approval proposed by Electranet. The development is set to transform household electricity, with savings of up to $100 per year, a markup from the original estimate of $66 in savings per year. The Australian Energy Regulator will decide on approval of the project. A Port Augusta resident is still on a mission to donate items of clothing for the homeless. Anne-Marie Seagram started her donation drive at the beginning of winter and has since given multiple bags of warm clothing. She recently received hand-knitted blankets from the community, including one made by residents at the Ramsey Village. Donations are still being accepted, with summer items sought after. Anyone wishing to donate can drop them off at the Seagram's office. The Broken Hill branch of Nemai National says more locals are admitting to struggle with their mental health. The service provider saying there's nothing wrong with saying you need help.
Problems with mental health and well-being, you don't have to go it alone. Operating in the Far West Recovery Centre, Nemai is a community-based organisation delivering services to Broken Hill residents coping with mental health issues, providing consumers with a stress-free environment and a laid-back approach when it comes to talking about their situation.
We're a residential facility. We're 10 beds, so people can come in, anyone experiencing symptoms of a mental illness can come in and have a stay, and we support them throughout their recovery.
Those using Nemai can leave the centre as they please. Harley and Rebecca are 2 consumers with the service. They say the relaxed programs and activities make talking less confrontational.
Giving me resources and strategies of how to cope with my anxiety and my depression. They're a really good team here.
You can't always just get over it overnight, so this stay here is only for a period of time, and they really look into the future for you.
Both Harley and Rebecca will be supported when they leave the centre and rejoin the community.
You can actually self-refer by making a phone call to the facility and talking to one of our staff, or you can refer through a GP or another service or the community mental health team.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, a historian honoured for keeping Port Lincoln's past alive, and organisers prepare for a dance workshop over the weekend. Welcome back. An 84-year-old Port Lincoln historian has been honoured with a life membership for her work within the community. Margaret Tilsner was one of the founders of the city's Railway Museum, determined to keep the region's rich history alive.
84-year-old Margaret Tilsner has been instrumental in researching and documenting Port Lincoln's history, the humble scholar now recognised for her decades of work.
Well, very honoured actually. Don't look for these sorts of things, so it was a complete surprise.
Eyre Peninsula's Railway Preservation Society awarding her with a life membership.
It's probably something we should have done years ago.
Born in 1936, Margaret grew up along the bustling railway, the lifeblood of the region. It was a family affair. Her father, uncles and brothers all worked on the line.
Through the years, during my time my father was in the railway, everybody knew one another and were friends.
For decades, she advocated for a railway museum in the heart of Port Lincoln. She got her wish with the doors opening during the turn of the century in 1999.
She's an absolute living treasure for Port Lincoln and Lower Eyre Peninsula.
Despite some health troubles, Margaret is showing no sign of slowing down, her head already buried in books, researching the changing years of Port Lincoln.
It's wonderful to be able to have her as a resource that we can tap, and just as I would be privileged to call her a friend to chat to.
I've loved every minute of it.
Nathan Richter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Lillian Crombie Foundation will be hosting a dance workshop for children in Port Pirie. Sessions will be held the following 2 Sundays, and volunteers hope the initiative will open more dance opportunities in the community.
Organisers working around the clock for local children to learn some new moves.
Kids get to go together and dance.
Held at the Northern Festival Centre this Sunday, children of all ages are invited.
Port Pirie and Port Augusta and its regions to come there to do some dancing.
Many genres set to be covered. Dance teachers say the initiative isn't just to bust some moves, but confidence build.
Confidence mainly when they're little, and well, it's great for their bodies too.
Have to believe in themselves to do the dancing, because it could take them somewhere else and somewhere positive.
Parents will also be volunteering on the day.
It gets them out of being bored and doing something on a Sunday. So, it's going to be good, and I'm looking forward to it for my children as well.
The future is looking bright, with hopes there could be more programs on the way.
Yeah, potential dancers and even actors, drama, all sorts of opportunities can come their way by them taking part in this dance program.
But I'm doing this for the community, for the kids, and that because the kids are our future.
Those interested are encouraged to come along Sunday morning. Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A former Whyalla local has made his return to the Steel City, sharing his passion for music with members of the community. Those living with a disability had the chance to participate in this week's music workshops, working together to write a meaningful song.
Brightening up the day with a jingle. The Whyalla Leap Takers, a group which supports people living with disabilities, enjoying every minute of this workshop. It's also a feel-good moment for music producer Ash Stanton, wanting to share a piece of his passion back home.
Just such a rewarding feeling to be able to come back to where you're from and help contribute, because when I was growing up here, I felt like the opportunities and the means to do what I wanted to do wasn't here.
The program organised by City Council, aiming to teach youths more about hip-hop.
What we try to do in Community Service Department of Council is to bring different opportunities to the youth of Whyalla.
Initially we did a web series which showed them all the ins and outs of the process, from how to produce music digitally on the computer from nothing, how to record your voice.
And the final lesson, songwriting, with the Leap Takers producing their very own song.
The Leap Taker guys and girls are just amazing. They get stuck in. They're just the most enthusiastic group of young people that I've ever met. We had lots of dancing, singing.
Proud of their accomplishments, the song will be released on Whyalla's Youth Advisory Committee website for all to enjoy. Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Petrol heads gear up to eye off Corvettes roaring into Port Lincoln. And dates announced for Broken Hill's annual tennis championships. Hello again. A convoy of 24-strong Corvettes has roared into Port Lincoln as part of the Adelaide Club's yearly run. Car enthusiasts taking in the sights as they explore the West Coast in their vintage sport cars.
Bound for the open road and heading west, these drivers are bringing the classic American Corvette to Eyre Peninsula.
So it's just basically getting our cars out, driving them and enjoying one another's company all the time.
The twice-yearly event seeing 24 of the vintage cars tear up the roads and roar across the state, meeting up with other drivers dotted across the region.
It's something that we don't get a lot of here, but to see a club like that come to visit us, it's been fantastic.
The COVID pandemic throwing a spanner in the works for car enthusiasts, with dozens of races and tours being cancelled, including the iconic Tickle Auto Sprint in Port Lincoln.
Generally have a monthly run from different places around this area. But of course a lot of that was closed down for a while.
This month's run is one of the first to get the green light since the pandemic hit, and drivers are lapping it up.
There's nothing like the amount of waves you get from people coming the opposite way. They might see the first car and then they see another 10 or 12 behind you.
Hitting the road again today, drivers head up to Whyalla and Port Augusta before a quick detour to Orroroo and Peterborough on their way back home to Adelaide.
They're going to see a fair bit of the West Coast, which is great.
The Corvette is still the only true two-seater American sports car, so it's still unique in that way.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Broken Hill tennis players are getting excited with the association announcing dates for its annual championships. The best of the best will soon battle it out to be crowned 2020 Silver City champions.
Australia has the Open, France has Roland Garros, Broken Hill has its championships. A series of nights where the city's male and female players take to the court aiming to be named best in the city.
Being able to really test yourself against the best of the best, because you're having number ones playing with number ones, and yeah, they're fantastic nights and they're a good laugh as well.
Later in the month, the championships will be played, mixed and regular doubles as well as singles.
The men's B grade doubles are on the 28th of October, the men's A grade doubles are on the 29th of October, and the singles comp is on the 2nd of November.
Broken Hill Tennis made it through the COVID-19 pandemic unscathed. The current spring competition seeing strong numbers, with players keen to pick up the racket once again.
Not only is it beneficial for tennis, but having more people down here, obviously it puts a few more extra dollars in the club's kitty as well. So no, I think it's been very good for A-grade tennis here in Broken Hill.
Those wanting to play in the championships can contact the local association. Shaking hands not permitted with COVID, touching rackets the new normal. Patrick Ryankey, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Meanwhile, Whyalla tennis clinics have been a hit with local children these school holidays, with packed out sessions running all week. Event coordinators say it's been a popular activity with some star players in the midst.
Future tennis champions soaking up the sport and sun.
Yeah, it's really good, like getting outside the house. It's good. This is the second year it's run. It was really good to do it last year, and then we've grown on that.
The popular clinics running all week with around 40 children jumping into action.
Youngest being 4, oldest being 20, so it's been really good to have a wide age range.
Swinging their way into the future, Sam says the sport teaches the children many skills. It's also a great physical and mental health outlet in a year that's been stressful for all.
The whole point of it is just to get some more kids in the Whyalla region playing tennis, and obviously coming out of COVID where there hasn't been a lot of sport on, it's been really good to get kids out on court.
It's a lot about your mental strength, I feel like, and how you can come back in a game, and that's why I like it.
And if you missed out on this week's clinic, not to worry, as there will be more opportunities in the future.
I'm hoping to come back a little bit more often and yeah, give a few more opportunities to the kids over here, and because yeah, there's lots of talent.
Talent that may see a future champion make it to the big time.
I've learned in my serve to throw the ball toss up and then slightly jump into the court a bit.
A local youth tennis tournament is on tomorrow, or for more information about these clinics, you can visit Whyalla's Tennis Association website. Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break with more sport. We'll have all your latest cricket tips and a look at the weather forecast with Brit. Welcome back. The Broken Hill Basketball Association is encouraging local junior players to get a team in for its return season. Organisers announcing the sport will retake the court, but no senior games have been pencilled in for the time being.
Basketball will be returning in October. We have nominations open until the 14th of October for grades from under 12s to under 18s.
The season will kick off with COVID restrictions in place. Each player is only allowed just one spectator at games, and everyone must be signed in when entering the stadium. That time has come around again. Let's hear from a Port Pirie expert on this week's first round of cricket tips.
Hello and welcome to the first round of Port Pirie cricket. After a disappointing end of last season where we failed to get the grand final underway due to COVID, we're back. We start the season with a double header. We got Props taking on Wandera at Port Oval from 8 o'clock. Props are recruited over the off-season while Wandera have lost a few. I'm going to tip Props. Following that game, we've got Southport taking on Port Germain from 1 o'clock. Southport have also recruited heavily over the off-season and should be a much better side this year. Port Germain were one of the unfortunate ones that were in the grand final and missed out on playing that, so I'll be looking to go all the way this year. I'm tipping Port Germain to start strongly.
Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Britt.
Thanks, Ruby, and good evening. It's been a bright and sunny day across the region with Port Augusta, Kadina and Cleve all reaching 22 degrees today. Woodna recorded a high of 25 degrees. It reached 23 at Port Lincoln, 21 at Whyalla and Port Pirie. Coffin Bay got to 20 degrees today, Broken Hill 19. Taking a look at the day's satellite images, and we can see mostly clear skies with very little cloud activity under an area of high pressure. So that was Friday. Let's see how Saturday is looking. Starting with the Gulf waters, winds west to northwesterly at around 5 to 10 knots, seas under a metre with south to southwesterly swells up to 1.5 metres. And it's looking to be another sunny day tomorrow. Port Lincoln with an expected top of 21 degrees. Cleve 25, Woodna warming up to 29 degrees tomorrow. A forecast high of 27 for Whyalla, Port Augusta 28, Kadina expecting a top of 23 degrees tomorrow. Port Pirie 26, Clare 23, Broken Hill with a top of 24 degrees. Moving on to Sunday now with fine and partly cloudy conditions across the Spencer Gulf and Broken Hill areas. It's looking like we'll see tops of 30 degrees at Woodna and Port Augusta, Port Pirie 28, Whyalla 27 on Sunday, Kadina with a top of 26 degrees, Broken Hill 25, Port Lincoln with a top of 23. And now a quick look ahead into next week. Monday looking similar to Sunday with partly cloudy conditions expected. Port Augusta with a forecast high of 31 degrees, Woodna and Port Pirie both 30, Whyalla looking at a top of 29, a top of 28 degrees for Kadina, Broken Hill 27 and Port Lincoln 25. And finally now to Tuesday. Sunny conditions expected about the York Peninsula and the mid-north with partly cloudy skies elsewhere. Warming up even more with both Port Augusta and Woodna expected to reach 34 degrees, Port Pirie 32, Whyalla with a top of 31 degrees, Kadina 30, Broken Hill 28 and a top of 26 degrees for Port Lincoln. So Ruby, that's the weather forecast for this weekend and the start of next week. Looks like we've got some warmer days on the way.
Thanks for that, Britt. Before we leave you tonight, we say goodbye to Seven Spencer Gulf's long-standing reporter Patrick Reinke, who has spent 4 years giving you all the top stories from Broken Hill. There's no doubt he'll be very missed both on your screens and from our team, but we do wish him all the best. And that's the local news this Friday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later. Until then, have a lovely and safe weekend. Good night.